thank you. I first want to thank you and thank the festival and thank Priscilla, my mother, Marie, everyone. Really, I had a great welcome here in London. And I want to sorry for my English. It's not the best one. I think it's not the worst one, but I will do my best. And the idea came, it's weird because it's like it first came the concept in a way of I wanted to investigate, and I did in the short films as well, like how can I change the experience of time or film time or condense or expand time inside one shot. This was my main concern, I guess. And it was a question that it was through the shorts and it's still there and it's still in the film that I'm writing now. So it's just a question, so there's not any answer. But also, and this I realized after the film was done, because I remember in the pitching and stuff like that, people were asking me what it's really about or where it come from, and I didn't have a clue, to be honest. I have to do the film to really know, and it's a way a portrait of a moment in my life when I was 20, when I was that age, that I had the feeling that I was being prepared all my life to be an adult, and then I didn't know what to do, and I felt like a bit like being dead in life, or a very weird experience actually with time. I didn't know what to do with my time. So it's a combination of this, like this concept, and also a portrait of this very period of, I guess, all the adolescents that, something.
And can you talk a little bit about the, because obviously the games that your characters play with each other constantly, both word games and physical, they're a massive part of the story and the themes of the film. Can you talk a little bit about their significance?
Yeah, I wanted first to generate a stronger relationship that's possible between the audience and the film, rather than the film and the actors, let's say, like a dialogue, stronger dialogue. And in this way I wanted to generate like a point of view, a narration that knows more than the characters knows. A bit like Hitchcock in a little way. So those games were like kind of my tool to make them talk like títeres. Pumpkins. Puppets. So yeah, it was like a tube, a canal to put all these thoughts in their mouths, like playing in a way. So it was pretty much like that, and also again this portrait of that period. Like I was studying cinema, and everything was so intellectual and so difficult to get, and then it takes a while to really understand. For me, at least, films like from Tarkovsky or Antonioni's, and at the beginning it felt a bit like alienation, but then it took a while, I think, and in a way it was also that, that like those guys, they want to say something intelligent, something clever, but at the end they end up being fake or I don't know, artificial, or this is something that I wanted to portray as well. So it has these two.
And one of the sorry.
No, I'm sorry.
And one of the first things that everybody notices about the film, I think, is the extraordinary look that it has and the amazing floating, rotating camera. Can you talk a little bit about how you achieved that and who you worked with to achieve that?
It was extremely physical shooting. Like it was mainly men, like 90% men, and we were 22, and I think 12 were people from camera. I really put everything there, and actually the sound is everything post-production, so it was like another shooting in a way, the sound, which I really, really enjoyed. It was like creating like almost an animation movie, like building it from zero. So in the shooting it was just about that, and I was talking all the time while we were shooting, and it was like that also in my short. So now I'm writing something else, and I will have to learn how to not talk while the camera is moving. But it was a choreography, very intense between the actors, the camera, and also Matthias, like, is the DOP of this film. Like, he was the famous one of the shooting, so he had so much protagonist in the crew, and it was difficult to get what I wanted, because I don't know. But also, I insist in this physical thing, because he was able, I mean, Steadicam operator was mainly another one, not his, and he was able to do one shot per day, more or less. The camera was almost 60 kilograms, and walking like 12 minutes with 60 kilograms, and having to frame properly, it was tough. But I like so much this way of working, like whole day doing rehearsals and then achieving this very moment. It was almost religious, I don't know, very spiritual for me. This is how. But we knew from the beginning that this was something very important for the film, like having those images, creating this world by the images.
And how organic can the film be if it's so? Obviously, the choreography took an enormous amount of effort, so everything had to be planned.
Yeah.
So how organic was the film able to be when you've structured how you're making it in a rigid way? Does that make sense?
In the script, you mean, or in the very?
Yeah, just in how you're making the film. How much freedom did you have in terms of the tone, what was said, how the actors were behaving? Because everything has to be planned in the way that. So how do you shoot, and do you allow much? Is there much room for people to play around, I guess?
Well, not really, I guess. I was thinking that they do have freedom. Actually, I was saying we were planning, like, let's say, spots to watch, to arrive, to achieve from 0 to minute 10, let's say. That for me were very important. And then in the middle, I was saying to them, okay, you have a bit of freedom, but at the end they said, no, we didn't have any freedom, the actors and the cameramen. But I think it's impossible to really plan anything in this world. So at the end, even though you try hard, I mean, you will have something more planned or less planned, but you cannot really dominate the reality. I don't know, like, for instance, to say something, the bugs that appears just before the rain comes, it's impossible to plan that, I mean, and it's not post-production, so I think reality comes in those moments, in this type of films, I guess, where it's not about acting, or it's not about, or it's weird way of acting, or, I think reality squeezes or appears anyway. I don't know if I did answer you, but
no, absolutely.
Okay.
Does anyone have any questions? Must be one. It's back here.
I thought that there was, when I was watching it, I thought that there was a big focus on memory loss and the car crash as well being a very kind of big part of the story.
Yeah.
How does that fit in? I mean, what's your understanding of it?
I can answer you, but I want to say before, like, I can tell you where I write it from, but I think any interpretation is better than mine, because it's like, if I tell you, I mean, but I write it from the idea of, I don't want to change your guys' interpretation actually, but they had this accident, and maybe the character of Isabel is still alive, and the others are dead, so it's her journey in a way to say goodbye to them. And that's why maybe she wants to eat, she wants to sleep, and the others know, and she has kind of a bundle, this herida.
A wound
In her neck that it's becoming better, but nobody would, I didn't have any single person that realized about that. So it was a detail for me. I mean, it's full of these details that maybe someone gets one or the other. Especially the last long shot that the producers hated so much, and there are so many people who hate it. For me, this it needs that time, because I think at that moment this character knows, let's say, or understands something about what has happened, and she needs this this time, you know. At least in my life, it's pretty much like that. When I realize about something, then I have to walk 10 blocks to say. Then at the end, I said, okay, it was that what has happened. So it's in a way an investigation about memory, but again, all this idea came after the idea of this concept of time and this portrait that I wanted to. I don't know, so many people ask me if I had a car accident that badly or no.
I think there was another one slightly further back, was there? I see another hand. No? Yeah?
I'll ask one anyway.
Go on.
Has Thurston Moore and Sonic Youth, have they seen the film? And if they have seen it, did they like it? Or?
I don't know. I think they have seen it because it was when I came up with this idea, again, the producer told me, forget about that. I mean, the owner of that is Universal. It's like the biggest company. I don't know. So they say no, so I started to send emails to everyone that I know has a connection with music or something. And Thurston was in Buenos Aires, like, I don't know, in this period. So I got the email from like a drum player, but not this, I don't know, someone, and I said, okay, this is my film, and I sent the screener, which was at that moment totally illegal because I'm not the owner of the rights of that, and well, I don't know. And they actually accept at the end the minimum of the syndicate in Argentina, something. So I guess, I don't know if they have seen it, but someone of them have seen it and said to Universal, they are from Argentina, or poor guys, come on, I don't know exactly. But yeah, I'm very curious about that.
Could you talk about the significance of having used that song as well?
It's probably the less, I don't have that much to say. I'm a very big fan of the band, and also I wanted to portray again this period of my life where a lot of artists were influencing me or kind of sharing that moment with me in my life, and in a way it's pretty much that. But also before it was another song and that was explaining too much. I mean, the lyrics were in Spanish, but was more or less, how does it feel to be dead? And I was realizing that I don't need to explain anything, that if it wasn't explained at that moment, I mean, it's already too late. And then I was listening that song those days in the mixing. Actually, it was a decision the last days of the mixing. You realize maybe this feeling of kind of a second chance could be better than explaining. So I think it's not that interesting, my answer about that.
No, it's very interesting. Any other questions? One thing that I was curious about, obviously there's a particular way of reading the film that you just talked about before, but the first time I saw it, it's such a experiential, atmospheric experience, I guess. To what extent do you want people to read into all of the sort of the messages and allegories that are there, and to what extent do you just want people to sort of feel the film?
I was kind of planning again all this concept understanding or more, let's say, a Hitchcock way of understanding the film. But the other one, it's just...
and we've... some people here may be aware that this is part of an Argentine focus at the festival. We had 3 Argentine directors here last week, Matias Pinera, Alejandro Fidel and Armando Bo. All really, really different films, but one thing I wanted to ask you is, to what extent do you see yourself as part of a particular creative environment in Argentina or Buenos Aires specifically, and how much does that inform this film, do you think, or do you think it doesn't matter, it's all important?
No, well, it does. We were all of us in the same university. Matias is a good friend of mine. Actually, I studied cinema in a way. I mean, I act in one of Alejandro's, I think it was his first short film, and I I don't know, in love with the shooting, with the idea of creating something out of nothing. I mean, the difference between a shooting itself and the image at the end, it somehow made me crazy at that moment. I don't know if it is not too early to say something about that, about us as a group or us, because always they ask me if I see myself some connection with Lucrecia Martel or with Lisandro Alonso, that they are already, I don't know, so big filmmakers. Well, Matias is, I mean, it's her fourth film, but Alejandro is also his first film, so I don't know. I feel like I would say something that then I will regret, so. But I love all his films.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Armando film, but the others, I love it.
Okay.
So.
And so, question? Yeah?
I was just going to ask, in the midst of all this sort of spirituality, there was a mention on religion a little bit, on how none of the characters gave any religion a chance. What is there a different meaning there in terms of a religious take?
Can you repeat a bit louder?
Sorry.
I was just talking about the mention of the characters rejecting several forms of religion. And the question was just about what the implications of that are for the characters and for the film and what that means. I think, is that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
It's a good question. I really don't know. I put this kind of little dialogue in Isabel, again trying to make her alive in a way, to keep her life. And I was thinking, what is exactly life? Because, I mean, how... I will do a circle and I will arrive to your question. This question of why that much, the shooting was that much from behind and their backs and not their faces. And after a while I realized, thinking about that, it wasn't a thought before, like how I remember my dead people, like the people that I love that are not in this world anymore, and I realized I remember like a shoulder, a hand, I don't know, a movement, but not really their faces. It's my idea. So I think that's why I decided to do it this way, and that's why maybe we see more Isabel's face and not the others, even though of course we see, but not that much. And I wanted to again like to I mean, the question was what it means to be alive in this world, and maybe it's a thing of hope, and sometimes or mainly in this world hope it's been represented by religious so I don't know if I'm answering you, but I don't know the implications, because I don't know what it means for people to be Catholic, be Muslim. I really don't know. So it was just a little stone in a lake.
I'll just ask one more before we wrap up, which would be, can you tell us a little bit about what you're planning next, and can you relate that to? You talk about your work very much being sort of a process from the shorts to this. So is your next film very much kind of growing out of this one? And subsequently, how do you feel about Leones now that it's done and out there and playing festivals too?
In a way, this question of time would be different in the next one, I think. But again, I mean, spiritually would be almost the same in a way. But I want to challenge myself to do it. It's not like now I know how to shoot exteriors. It's not like that, but I feel like if I do a film again in exteriors, I will feel more comfortable, let's say. So I decided in a way the new film would be entire inside a house and with more close-ups and real actors. And I want to put myself in a situation that I don't really know how to do it, or it's a quoting thing. It's not like I don't know how to do it, but to feel a bit that I have something to learn out of it, I think. But again, the story, the spirit, it would be the same. And maybe the time thing, this concept that was in my shorts, and I think it's in Leones, will be there but more hidden in a way. It would be not a tool to take the narration to driven the plot. Maybe it would be something, maybe a detail, something in the background. And how do I feel that Leones is done? It's weird because I have kind of amnesia. I don't really remember exactly how it was, how it started. I mean, all what I say is trying to memorize something, but it's weird. It's like, I don't know, like how it started. Really, if I had to, it's a feeling, but I cannot tell you exactly the narration, I think.
Okay. That's great. We'll wrap up there, but I'll just say quickly, any of those people here interested in the rest of the Argentine season, we have Mariano Llanes' Extraordinary Stories screening on Saturday. It's an amazing film. It's never been shown in the UK before, probably never will be again. So it's your only chance to see a real masterpiece. So please come and see that. And we've also got a live outdoor screening of La Antena in Spitalfields Market on Saturday night, live scored by Esben and the Witch. It's going to be extraordinary, and that's a free event, so come along, bring your friends, and pick up a programme and check out the rest of the festival, and give a big hand to Jazmin López.